motivating, demoralizing, a lot of things, but it's been good, it's been good. I wanna thank everybody, the confidence you've shown me. I wanna thank, Lisa and Val, particularly for putting these meetings together, annual meetings, they're tough to do. I wanna thank the commissioners who've done a fine job, a great group to serve with. Also officially, I wanna thank the town and all their officials. We've worked well with them. The LVPIA, we've gotten to have a really tremendous relationship with them, and I appreciate the cooperation they've shown throughout the years. So thank you very much, and I'll call the meeting to order. It is 9:16, pardon my watch. Well, try 7:16. Anyway, my mind just has no time. The roll call, all the commissioners are here, plus everyone who's signed in, is going to the records, so you know who's here. If everyone is here, we'll go to the first order of business to approve the meeting minutes of the previous annual meeting, not our last regular board meeting, annual meeting. And anyone had a chance to read them? Has everybody had a chance to read them? I scanned them here with a few minutes ago, and I see no glaring errors. I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as printed and distributed. Is there a motion? If so, give us your name. Sarbatinson. All right, move. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next order of business is going to be the election of one commissioner to a 3-year term. It expired this year and will be a 3-year term through 2026. The commissioner is Val Johnson. The results of the nominating ad, I'll call on the nominating chairman, who is going to be busy tonight doing a lot of stuff.
Well, all right, so as everybody came in, you received a ballot and then a form to testify who you are and why you can vote. The ballots are being counted by our district attorney at the moment. Make sure you get your ballot over to them. The two people running for the office is Val Johnson and Joe, and everybody's already know that. So that's it. And while those, when the count is final.
Anybody not put their vote in?
We've got a couple over here.
Okay. All right, we're working on that. Ron's taking care of that?
Yes.
We can't, we'll count them shortly and announce the results. First, I'd like to call on the audit committee report for calendar year 2022. Steve Rocher, we can do it. Steve, you're here.
Yes.
Good man. You're always available. We appreciate that.
Hello, everybody. My name is Steve O'Hare, and I'm here to talk about the annual Beulah Management District financial audit. Each year, as directed by the bylaws of the Beulah Management District, an annual audit is performed by an elector that is appointed by the chairman. This year, I was asked to do the annual audit for the period ending December 31st, 2022. The audit was conducted using guidelines that were provided by the Beulah Management District. In my summary, I reported that after I examined the financial records for the district in accordance with the audit guidelines, I can report that I have confidence in the financial records and the underlying record keeping. The records reviewed are proper, they're mathematically accurate, and they follow the rules set forth by the management district. I did have some comments and recommendations. First of all, a comment, the balance sheet correctly does show the strong financial condition of the Beulah Management District. Regarding the budget, the district has operated favorably within the budget and actually came in under budget in 2022. As you may know, there's there's a lot of equipment expenses involved in the operation of this organization. One thing that contributed favorably to the budget was the district's ability to perform equipment repairs in-house and preventive maintenance, and that resulted in significantly lower equipment repair costs. So the board and the folks on the board who do that should be commended. I had a couple recommendations. One was that someone on the board, maybe the treasurer or the board itself, review the workman's compensation insurance for possibly a better rate, considering the fact that there were no workman's comp claims in 2022. So there may be some negotiating abilities there. Another thing, as was noted in our 2021 audit, and again this year, attorney's fees are one of the larger expenses, so I would recommend that the board watch that very closely and would say that that's probably close to the top of the expenses. And finally, I always recommend that all expense reports have backup receipts. That's a very important aspect of that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Does anybody have any specific questions? Hearing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the auditor's report, please.
Motion.
Glenn Kreinbrink, move, second.
Second.
Don Stein, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you for a great job, Steve. We appreciate you doing it year after year. It's not something that gets a lot of reward. Approval of the 2024 proposed budget expenditures of $274,760 in the property tax levy, $204,000, 3% less than 223. I'll turn it over to Chris. Let him.
All right, so our proposed budget for 2024 is a total expense of $204,000. The property tax levy will be $200,000, which is a 3% reduction from last year. The other $4,000 of income comes from interest earned on checking. That budget breaks down to an administrative budget of $109,200, which is a 4% increase from last year. The plant harvesting and control budget is $75,560, which is a 12% increase. And the weed and water control budget will be $19,000. That budget is for water testing, primarily water testing that we do. And that's a 22% increase from last year. We also continue to leave on the possibility of a capital purchase of a new dump truck. And you've been hearing about this for years. So we don't want to spend a lot of money ever. And if the truck, when we run up against a big expense, then we're gonna have to get a new truck. Our truck's 25 years old, and Stu does a great job holding it together, but eventually, we wanna have the authority to be able to do it, and we do have those funds in our fund, our equipment fund. So the total expense would be $274,760, which is a 5% reduction from last year. Any questions on the budget for next year? All right. Do we have a motion to approve the budget?
We
for
need a
next year?
motion to approve the budget, as stated by Chris.
Terry?
Pardon me?
Terry Savage.
Terry Savage, okay. Moved, seconded by
Second.
Norm Savage.
Norm. All
Norm
those,
second.
as a second, yes. Any questions, specific questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Thank you, Chris. He does a fine job, and he's jumped in. All right, Jordan, please, I'll thank you later.
All right, the treasurer's report, the current financial year. So we have received all the tax revenue for the year, and we are slightly exceeding our income budget. as forecast because the interest rates were higher than we expected. Our administrative expenses are below our expected plan. They're currently for the year at 49,000, which is 2/3 of what we expected to spend at this point. The plant harvesting costs are also lower than forecast. Now, we have seen an increase in insurance costs for this year, but we were able to offset that by reducing costs in other areas. That current plant harvesting, we're spending 36,000 so far, and that's also 2/3 of what we expected. And our expectation of spending is based on the last 5 years, how we pace. And now weed and water has been exceeding the forecast, and it seems every other year we have a trouble with bills coming from the USGS on our water testing, and we're supposed to get them in the summer, and we end up getting them in the next year in January, and so we're having a double year of water testing expenses, and we're 10% over what we expected there. So overall, our expenses are 70% of what we expected to be at this time, and we do expect to close the year with spending less than budgeted again, and so we reflect that in a lower assessment for next year. That's why we reduced our taxes that we're requiring for next year. That is it, or are there any questions on this current spending year treasurer expenses? Okay.
Thank you. Can we get a motion to approve, Chris's treasurer's report now? Wendy Ekstrom, move.
Second, Terry, second.
Terry, second, thank you. Are there any further questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Now I'll say it, I wanna thank Chris, for, doing a great job on the treasury report. You know, a couple years ago, he jumped in, instead of, paying, a CPA to look at our numbers and put them back together and give them back to us. We've saved a lot of money operational wise, and he's kept us up to date with what we're doing, so, I finally convinced him this year he should lower the rate though, because we've got enough money. He doesn't like us, you know, he's doing a good job. I thank Chris a lot. Thank you. Status report, on 3 things on the agenda. Legal action regarding, 1341 Beach Road, that would also be known as, Hotel Beulah. As most of you should know, it's in the courts, and there is a schedule of, hearings, and not hearings, but procedures that have to go through, and that won't be accomplished until November, and that's when we'll get a reading. I'd like to give you a more detailed update, accounting of what's going on, but when I talked to our attorneys, he reminded me, it is a court case, and that we really shouldn't be discussing it in open meeting. So, but there's nothing to discuss anyway, just to bring you up to date, we'll know something by hopefully the end of the year. Dredging of property owned by, Heidi, Mendes. Yes, I'm not good at pronouncing that. John, you've been, watching this, can you give us an update on that?
Sure, that's actually owned by Goodhart. The property's being rented right now by Tennessee.
Okay.
But anyway, this is something that we've fought for all year long. This is the dredging of the property. It's a little road. And they're dredging, the proposal was to dredge, and it would take a good portion of the land and the lake for dredging to put a boat in. Somewhere along the line, the DNR changed their mind, and they pushed the dredging position off quite a bit from the property and put it on the neighbor's property, riparian area, which, you know, we can't figure out at all. And it's, the hearing, we have 2 hearings on it. Both of them have been very confusing, been messed up. I think it's fair to say the DNR did a poor job of administering the hearing. But the bottom line is they agreed to allow the owner to dredge in the neighbor's property. Subsequent to that, The town jumped in, and the town, wrote a nice memo to the state saying that indeed, this is called illegal. It's being done in the neighbor's riparian zone, both the dredging and the position of the pier and position of any, platform that will lead out to the boat lift. In any case, so the town came out strongly there, that's a good sign. And I think our next stop is determine whether we should appeal this or not, and maybe we'll discuss that later on. But it's been a very disgusting thing throughout the whole period, because all the evidence says don't dredge, it's a sensitive area on top of it. And, but the DNR went ahead anyway. Next step is to review the appeal.
Okay, thank you, John, and I assume we'll be able to go to that appeal review.
Okay.
Next item is the, Double D's property known as, that, I'm sure many of you on Mill Lake are very well aware of. I'm happy to report that, I have been reliably told that the sale of the property to Mikko, Erkma has, ceased. It failed to go through. So, at this point, there will be no development of that land whatsoever, still owned by the, previous owner, and, we have to see what happens on it. There's really nothing more I can say about it. Given that, I think the vote is in. Chris, as the nominating committee, can you?
Mr. Miller?
Yes, sir.
When is he gonna remove his boat and
I
lift?
talked to the police about it today, and, I informed them that other than, and I apologize, I don't know the name of the previous owner.
Darren Mahalik.
Yes, he does. He's the only one that could put a boat in right now. If that boat doesn't belong to him, it's illegal, and he said he's gonna proceed to do something about it. When will that be, I'm not sure.
Just a comment that I want to share with the group. I called, to find out the value of the what the property is being offered for. $8 million.
I didn't hear it.
The property is being offered for $8 million. That's the opening price if you wanna buy it.
They want $8 million for the property?
Hey, they can ask whatever they want,
They
that's.
certainly can. Well, that's another story.
7 million.
All right, so the votes have all been recorded, that everybody here, and thank you for everyone for coming and voting. We've received a total of 79 votes. For Val Johnson, there were 54 votes, and for Todd Jones, 25, so Val Johnson is elected.
It's what we want to see. We want to see people come and participate in our annual meeting. The next item on the agenda is the aquatic plant harvesting equipment and status report from Commissioner Auger.
I've been informed that the aquatic plant growth was a little less this year than normal, and that's why we've only had one real operator working all summer long, and will do so for the next couple of weeks. I haven't been given the exact time that they're gonna pull the equipment. It's usually about the third week in September. So if you still wanna put the aquatic plants on your piers, they should be picked up, if you call them and request it. Next year, we don't know what's gonna happen as far as aquatic plants. We are planning to make sure we have more operators, so the cost will go up. Hopefully we'll stay within budget. Our current operator is probably, near retirement, so we will be looking for, some replacements. And that'll be up to our supervisor, Stu Auger. He always takes care of all that, and as far as removing and putting in the buoys around the lake. You've heard several comments about the equipment, and we thank Stu for making sure things are working on that. Whenever the truck happens, who knows? But that's already in our contingency fund, so it shouldn't be any great expense other than what we've already prepared for. That's about it. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them. If not, that's my report.
Thank you, Stan, appreciate that. Next item of business is the status report on lake, monitoring, the water testing in Lake Level, and well number 7 pumping. If you're not familiar, well 7 is the one that the village put in, and we've been testing since Hector was a pup. John, have we got I see there's in my packet, there's a report.
To simplify, there's a handout there that I provided, and I think it explains everything, but just to go over it briefly, we do our testing in a number of different segments, and the first one is groundwater assessment. We work very diligently with that on that category. We have a number of test wells that are between the well 7 and the lake. We do that in cooperation with the village, who's been very, very good at working this issue with us. And we have monitors placed close in the lake, very close to that area. One in Bell Johnson's, one in Chris Kubicek's, one in mine, and one in Camp Charles Ellis. And then we can tell exactly when they're pumping and when they're not pumping. And then we try to analyze that to determine what the effect is on the water in the lake. We've seen some anomalies lately. Blue algae last year, haven't seen it this year. But we're concerned about it because it does change the conductivity of the water as they pump. And it's changing more so over time, so watching that closely to see what happens there. So that activity goes on. We also have a number of other operations going on too, and that is with the USGS monitoring the quality of the water in the lake. This is a pretty elaborate thing, which we've been doing for a number of years now, and there's a chart on that in there, you'll see that very clearly. But the lake is right where it should be. You don't want pure water, you don't want contaminated water, you don't want water with a lot of aquatic life in it, but what you want is something in between, and that's where the lake is today. It's right on the mark. It's one of the most pristine lakes in the state of Wisconsin, and we can prove that by over the long-term effect that we've seen here. We will continue to monitor things and work on a number of different areas in the lake to make sure indeed that the lake stays the way it is and continues as an excellent lake. Any questions on that? Do look at the chart. I think it tells it's pretty self-explanatory.
Thank you,
Okay,
John.
one more thing there. We've been looking at the effect of wakeboarding on the lake. It's been a controversial issue for a number of years. But we've had 2 experts here, Bob Nauta and Tim Ellinger, professor from the University of Wisconsin, come in and do some analysis work on that. And there's no doubt that wakeboards are damaging the spawning area of many of the fish, mainly the crappies and bluegills. And this occurs near the shore. There are 2 areas where the bluegills do spawn. One is on the shore, and one is further out into the lake in the deeper water. And the one by the shore is really being affected, especially if you look at the south side of the lake where the well 7 is, that general area through there, Wilmer's Grove and that, in towards the seminary. There is no spawning taking place. It really has been devastated. And both these consultants attribute that to wakeboarding because the wake's coming in. Now that means the bluegills and the like can go further out into the lake for spawning. However, all the predators are there too, so the yield is much, much lower. So we expect the yield on, as time goes on, to go down drastically unless we can reverse the wakeboard effect. The problem with wakeboarding and the problem controlling it is that it's enjoyed by the people that are wakeboarding. But those that are not wakeboarding probably don't enjoy it because of the effect. And yet, many of the people that are in good positions in the lake have wakeboards. So it's a compromised situation there. So it's going to be difficult to administer any control over that as time goes on unless we break through there. But we will keep on monitoring it. We're working with the the Protective Association at the same time to analyze the situation. And they're doing a lot of work on it, especially through John Burnett. That's it.